Hi, and welcome to my chat. Today, instead of talking about quadcopters and buying them and flying them and all things quadcopters, I thought today we would switch gears and talk about the two new Cricut cutting machines that were released last week, the Cricut Maker 3 and the Explore 3. More importantly, where does that fit for people that already own the Silhouette Cameo 4 and maybe a Cricut machine like the Joy? Or what does this look like for newbies who are looking to jump into cutting machines and don't quite know where to turn? All right, let's get started with the details of the two new machines, and we'll start with the Maker 3. To be clear, there's no Maker 2. There's a Maker, and then there's a Maker 3, and nothing in between. Looking at the specs for the Maker 3, it says it's 2 times as fast as its predecessor, which makes sense because any kind of upgrade or new machine is typically faster than its predecessor. It will cut 300 and plus different types of materials. It has Matless printing. I always say printing. Why? Matless cutting. It has Matless cutting now. Woohoo! Matless cutting was actually introduced with the Joy, and Cricut is now introducing that into their larger machines through the Cricut Smart Materials. So it was really popular with the Cricut Joy, and now they're expanding it into their ecosystem of machines. So now you have Matless printing, Matless cutting. Speaking of cutting, you can cut up to 12 feet with the new Maker 3. And sold separately is like a roller adapter. So you can put the large amounts of vinyl or whatever it is you're cutting onto the machine so it'll flow through the machine easier as it's cutting. But that's sold separately. So it has that. It has the same tools as the Maker. It can print and cut, just like the other machines. It's still Bluetooth enabled. Most of the bells and whistles are the same. It will cut materials up to 2.4 millimeters in thickness on the Maker. So it's a pretty robust and powerful tool. The Explore 3, again, 2 times as fast as its predecessor. It will cut 100 and plus different types of material. It does have Matless cutting as well using Cricut Smart Materials. It will cut up to 12 feet of material. Again, you can buy a roller that is sold separately to help manage the material as it flows through the cutter. So it uses the same tools. It still has the same Bluetooth enabled. It's really just a more powerful version of the Explore 2. So it's kind of cool. Now, when you're talking about machines, you have to talk about the software. So Cricut has their own proprietary software, which is really powerful and very good. And the software has been recently updated to include kerning, which is kind of important, and more important to me, offset cutting. Because that was a difference between the two cutting machine softwares. Silhouette had offset cutting and Cricut Design Space did not. So now they kind of even the playing field there. You need internet access to run both the machine and the software for this. Now for the Cameo, I have the Silhouette Cameo 4 here, which is their latest and greatest model. And I'm going to say that it will cut the same amount of material as the Maker 3 because I really think that they are peers. It does Matless cutting. It's, of course, faster than its predecessor. It does have a built-in roller for feeding in your Matless vinyl. Speaking of which, you can use any type of material that has a strong enough backing to cut here, including Cricut Smart Material. It will cut up to 60 feet. That's why you need that roller, and it's a good thing it's built in. It does print and cut when it works. And it also, the machine itself comes in 3 different sizes. This is the 12-inch width cutting machine. There's a 15-inch width cutting machine and a whopping 2-foot width cutting machine. And that's great if you're scaling a business. And that's something kind of unique to Silhouette. Cricut really doesn't have that. So if you're really building your business and things are moving along, these machines will scale with you. Again, it has Bluetooth connectivity when it works. More on that later. Software. We're talking about Silhouette's software. It's an extraordinarily robust piece of software that you purchase and own, which is different from Cricut, where you buy into an ecosystem with a monthly fee. The software has always had kerning. It still has a very, very precise offset cutting. Its kiss cutting is to die for. More importantly, with the Cameo, you don't need the internet to run the software or the machine. So if your software is down, you can still cut, which is pretty cool. So that's in a nutshell. And as you can see, it's quite evident there's a gulf of difference between the 2 machines. So where do you go? Well, I will tell you, based on my experience working with this Cameo and this Cricut Joy, it comes down to me, the crux of it is the Cricut machines work, and they work consistently. I do more crafting on this and more troubleshooting with this. So it really speaks to reliability and just ability to just create. Again, looking at the 2 softwares, the Cricut software is very beginner friendly, though you do lose some granular control over some aspects of the design. However, with the latest updates, with the kerning and the offset, it's really slowly bringing itself up to par with the Silhouette Studio design software. The Silhouette design software, again, is hugely robust. If you're a newbie, I'm telling you, there's a very steep learning curve, which comes in with a lot of frustration as well, but sometimes learning is frustrating. But once you start learning the different aspects of it, and especially if you're comparing it with a different design software, you can really see where this software stands out. Another important difference between the 2 software, this software you can upload and download designs. You can only upload designs in Cricut Studio. This Cameo machine has been quite difficult for me to use. Now, I'm only speaking from my experience of working with both of these machines. To me, this is much more user-friendly. I cannot compare the specs between the 2. They are not equal. But in reliability, this one outshines this top-of-the-line machine. And it might be because I really think this is a lemon. There's a lot of more issues going on behind the scenes that I haven't shown in front of the camera with this machine. I'm now at the point where I'm going to replace this with a new Cameo 4. I am seriously looking at getting the Explore 3 because I'm already part of the Cricut ecosystem, and I need a reliable workhorse of a cutting machine. So that is what I feel and think about the new Cricut machines versus the Silhouette Cameo. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have either one of these machines, or do you have a mix of both? And what would you do? Would you replace the Cameo and get an Explore, or would you just go with the Maker? Let me know in the comments below.